When the snow disappears from the fields, one of the most interesting moments of the whole year begins, which is the first spring fieldwork, fertilizing, preparing the soil for sowing, and everything that brings the farm back to life after winter. In this video, I put together a list of my favorite mods that fit this stage of gameplay perfectly. And don't worry, there will be something here both for small farms and for the biggest ones. And let's start with a spreader made for the biggest farms, because this beast holds as much as 20,500 liters. Interestingly, the game does not list its working width, but based on my calculations, it comes out to around 35 meters. And here comes one small catch, because unlike standard spreaders, this one does not change its working width between fertilizer and lime. For some people that will feel less realistic, while for others it will simply be convenient. Other than that, it is hard to find anything to complain about because visually, this spreader looks really solid, and it looks especially good with tractors from the same brand. We already had something for the biggest farms, so now it is time for the complete opposite. This sprayer is made for the absolute smallest farms, and you can see that right away, because in terms of working width and capacity, it is 3 times smaller than the smallest model available in the game. It only has a 400-liter capacity, an 8-meter working width, and works at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour, so it is also clearly slower than the machine I talked about earlier. As for configuration, we can only change the color of the frame and the tank itself, but even here the selection is very limited. Still, I assume the author intentionally went for more realistic options, because I have to admit that I have seen exactly these kinds of sprayers in real life, and they really did come in those colors. And when it comes to the model itself in the game, both the build quality and the textures look genuinely very decent. For a sprayer like that, you also need a properly small tractor, because the game itself is still missing older machines that fit the smallest farms. And this is exactly where the Vladimiric T25 fits in nicely, appearing in the game as the Lizard T25. The name itself does not matter that much. What matters more is that we get 30 horsepower and quite a lot of configuration options. We can change not only the colors, but also the cabin, which is still quite rare and adds a lot of atmosphere. On top of that, it comes with a dedicated front loader and attachments, so it is simply a small, complete tractor that is perfect for the smallest farms. Visually, it also looks really good and does not feel like a mod that was added just to fill a missing category. It is simply a machine that genuinely makes sense and could easily have been part of the base game. Going back to machines for the biggest farms, I have something really special here. I am talking about the Claas Xerion Saddle Track Pack, which is a slurry spreading setup made for truly huge farms. This exact type of machine was actually the inspiration for this episode, because I happened to see a very similar setup working in a field in real life. I was not able to find the exact same configuration as the one I saw, because that setup had a different tanker, one that matched the vehicle itself much better. Here, I attached one from the base game just to at least capture a bit of that same feeling. And I have to admit, in the region where I was at the time, seeing something like this in spring was basically an everyday sight. The working width itself may not look that impressive, because with this setup it is only 6 meters, but I also attached an implement from the base game, and the total capacity of the full setup you see here is already 36,000 liters, which makes a huge difference. A machine like this does not have to keep going back for refills all the time, and instead it can work in the field for a really long time. On top of that, there are also transfer tankers, and I have to admit, I did not even know the game included models with that characteristic filling opening. The slurry transfer tankers alone are not enough, because something still has to pull them. And even though I have seen quite a lot of these setups on the roads, sometimes even pulled by trucks on regular road tires, most of them actually had tires just like this man. I went through all the truck tire configurations available in the game and could not find anything that looks similar. So to complete the setup that inspired this episode, this truck simply had to be included here. Because let's be honest, driving into a field with a regular truck on road tires, especially in spring and with a tanker full of slurry, could end very badly in real life. In the game, it does not matter that much, but this is still a simulator, so it is nice to at least pretend a little realism. Staying with natural fertilizers, but going a bit lower in farm size, I have something here for medium and large farms. farms. It is a manure spreader with a capacity of just under 18,000 liters and a working width of 24 meters. What makes it stand out the most compared to others is the fact that it can also spread lime. With the standard manure spreaders available in the game, only the smallest one has that feature. So this gives us a genuinely very interesting alternative. It is a great option if your fertilizer spreader cannot spread lime, or if you mainly rely on natural fertilizers but still want to take care of liming from time to time. You just have to remember one thing. With the similar spreader available in the base game, you can simply load whatever you want whenever you want. But here you need to change the configuration first. Luckily, that configuration change is free, so it is not a big issue, but it is definitely worth keeping in mind. For the smallest farms, my pick is the Warfama N128 spreader. In manure spreader mode, it offers between 5,000 and 7,000 liters of capacity, and I want to highlight that on purpose because it can also be configured as a trailer, and then the capacity goes up to as much as 14,000 liters. That alone already makes it a very versatile machine. On top of that, it comes with a really large number of configuration options. I counted as many as 9 options that affect the capacity alone, and besides that, we also get different stickers, covers, and other add-ons. Because of that, this machine can be customized exactly to your own preferences, and a large number of configurations is always a huge plus. Because even after hundreds of hours, a mod like this does not get boring nearly as quickly. As for the working width, it is 2.5 meters. The only thing that makes me curious is the second icon with the value of 12, because honestly, I did not feel that at all in the field. If you know exactly what it refers to, make sure to write it in the comments. The manure is spread, so now it is time for spring plowing, and at the same time another older machine. This time it is the Unia Grudjon's plow, which not only looks classic, but also is not reversible. And that is exactly what makes it stand out the most during gameplay. Because work like this has its own atmosphere, but only when you are doing everything yourself. Unfortunately, the worker does not really know how to handle a plow like this, or at least I could not find any sensible way to set it up properly. The plow itself is still genuinely excellent, and it also comes with a very interesting extra. While plowing, we can prepare the field for sowing right away by attaching a small machine that levels the soil directly behind the plow. And that is exactly the kind of thing that stands out because we have an older machine. Yet at the same time, a solution that many more modern models are missing. When it comes to working with, we get anywhere from 0.6 to 1.2 meters. That does not come from configuration options, but from the fact that the pack includes 3 different plows ranging from 2 to 4 furrows. The configuration itself is not poor either, because we can paint each element separately and decide whether we want to add extra equipment. If you do not go with the plow shown earlier, then after plowing and before sowing, it is worth leveling the field a bit more, unless you have a seeder that can do it all in one pass. If not, then harrows like these should work perfectly. They have a working width of 3 meters and can be used at speeds of up to 15 kilometers per hour. What caught my attention the most was a small visual detail, which is the bricks placed under the hitch when I detached them from the tractor. It is a small touch, but genuinely an interesting one that adds a bit of atmosphere. Besides playing around with colors just like with the plow, we can also add tires that increase the weight. In the real world that would matter more, but even in the game it is simply a nice visual detail. Spring is also the season of sowing, so I have suggestions here both for the smallest and the biggest farms, and we will start with the biggest ones. Here we have a precision planter that is twice as large as the biggest model available in the game. It is a true giant that can plant not only corn, but also sorghum, sunflower, soybeans, sugar beets, cotton, or even green beans. Its working width is exactly 36.5 meters, and we can operate it at a speed of 15 kilometers per hour. However, to fully make use of equipment like this, you need a tractor with nearly 400 horsepower. So here you definitely have to start looking in the large machine category, but if you do have the right equipment, working with a setup like this goes incredibly fast. In complete contrast to the planter that was twice as large as the biggest one available in the game, I have a model for you that is twice as small as the smallest one. and it looks exactly like something pulled straight out of a museum, but that is exactly why it fits perfectly with the tractor I showed earlier. As for the specifics, we have a working width of 2 meters here, and the ability to work at speeds of up to 10 kilometers per hour. Interestingly, it requires only 20 horsepower, and his tank holds just 100 liters, so this really is a machine made exclusively for the very smallest farms. Let me know in the comments which spring fieldwork you enjoy the most and which mod you would add to a list like this yourselves. I will heart the most interesting comments. Subscribe so you do not miss the next videos, and see you soon.